like I said earlier, we've been doing a lot of 5-on-5 playing, obviously not the duration of having a game, much more controlled, but I still think it was good that we could get out there and compete against each other, move around some different players and some teams. I think the things that we've tried to focus on in training camp, playing with some speed and pace, ball movement, you know, just playing faster. I think our guys are really trying to do that, and inside of that, there's things certainly we can get better execution-wise. But overall, I think there's a commitment to trying to play in a way that we've talked about since we started.
Billy, did you want to play Patrick and Dennis as much as you did, particularly Patrick today?
Well, you know, just talking to our medical staff, talking to the players, those guys were fine playing. You know, so like it was basically, I mean, the last quarter was running time, so I kind of got them off, played Dennis a little bit, but those guys all wanted to play, and medical staff and just all their loads and all the things that we do to protect them and ensure their safety as best we can in those situations was like, listen, they're ready to go and play. And so, no, I mean, I was happy those guys got the opportunity to push and play. And obviously I'm communicating with them, but you know, it was good that they got a chance to play as much as they did.
And I asked that because just looking at Pat, I know it's a scrimmage setting, but he didn't look particularly tired just from my vantage point. I mean, what did you think about Pat in terms of his physical condition and his stamina in scrimmage?
Well, I think, you know, in fairness to him, last year he's coming in and he misses the entire training camp and he really can't do anything. He had a very, very difficult summer. I think the one thing I've noticed when he came back is he's done a terrific job with his body. He physically looks strong. I think he's gotten himself prepared for training camp just based on what happened last year. So, you know, he came in here ready, in my opinion. Like anything else, you're always going to get in better shape, have better stamina and conditioning. But he's done a good job, and I, to your point, didn't feel like, you know, geez, this guy's really struggling and laboring, and we got to get him off the floor at all. He did a really good job today.
Billy, how much, if at all, should we read into the idea that you had him out there with the starters and you played him so many minutes with Paul and Dennis?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at a lot of different things. I mean, I brought Jeremy back over there. We had Nerlens back over there. I wanted to play Nerlens and Steve. To be honest with you, one of the things that the problem was is like Jeremy has been pretty consistently at the 4 spot for us in training camp, and Nerlens and Steven have been at the 5. So it was more of a way of staggering it, and you know, having Patrick there and having him be able to play with Steven and Nerlens, and also try to see what Steven and Nerlens look like a little bit. Not that we've practiced that a lot because Nerlens has been out with his foot for a couple practices, but having those 2 guys play together I thought was important. And then, you know, we brought Jeremy back over and we played Jeremy and Patrick together. So, you know, again, it's first week. We're going to look at a lot of different things. You know, I put Diallo over there with that first group because I wanted to see what he looked like playing alongside of Paul with his athleticism. So we got a chance to look at a lot of different things. I played Dennis and Raymond together some. You know, again, they're very, very small sample sizes, but at least there's some things we can look at.
Conventionally, you're looking at Pat. Conventionally, you look at Pat and say, well, if you look at that starting lineup, Patrick shooting could really make a difference there. Is that one of those things that you have to weigh, is just the way he stretches the floor?
Yeah, and how everything fits together, but he certainly does stretch the floor very, very well. Patrick's a smart player. I think, like I said, coming off of last year, where he didn't have a chance to have a training camp under him, I think that he's in a much, much better place now than he was a year ago. But it's early. I mean, this is basic. We're not even a week into training camp, you know, and you want to be able to give all these guys opportunities to compete and play. And then you want to be able to look at guys competing and playing with different guys just to kind of go from there. But I would say, you know, Jeremy and Patrick, for me, both guys are very, very important to our team. We need both guys. I know people want to talk who's starting, who's not starting, but the reality is both those guys are important for us.
How comfortable are you with that being a fluid situation all year long, as far as starting either Jeremy or Pat, depending on who you guys are playing in any particular night?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really worried about that because of those guys as people. You know, they're about winning, their team guys. So again, the starting piece of it is, to me, is not that big of a deal. I get it's a big deal to players or fans or people, but it's really not that big of a deal because after the first 6 or 7 minutes of the quarter is over with, they're going to be subbed out of the game anyway. So what we're talking about is who's playing the first 6 minutes versus who's playing the next. And to me, it's not that big of a deal. But you want to certainly start games well. You want to get off to good starts. You want to be a good starting team, and that's where you have to at least evaluate, okay, how these guys gel and mesh with each other, what are the best combinations of players to put out there. But like I said, both those guys are going to be important to us.
How
Billy,
impressed have
overall,
you
what
been?
did you think about the defense and?
I'm sorry?
Sorry, overall, what did you think about the defense and what do you all need to continue?
You know, I'm anxious to go back and watch the tape because one is we gave up, they took 10, the blue team took 10 3-point shots in the first quarter. I want to see how many were contested, how many were really good, clean looks. I thought we did a really good job protecting the rim. I thought we scrambled. I thought we were in rotation. I thought we did a really good job from that perspective. But they, obviously, the blue team didn't shoot the ball particularly well from behind the 3-point line. So I think evaluating those 3-point shots on, you know, were they really highly contested? Were they open, wide open looks? Like just seeing how they got them and what our rotations were like. So statistically, when you see the numbers, it looks like great defense, but I want to see with the number of threes they took and the shooting percentage from 3-point line, that certainly impacted the shooting percentage.
How impressed have you been with Noel's ability to pass, and does that kind of allow you to want to throw out a lineup with Adams and Noel on the floor at the same time, considering they're not necessarily known as offensively stretching floor big men?
Now, I've seen New Orleans play a lot. You know, I've seen him go all the way back to high school junior year. I've always felt nobody ever talks about his ability to pass. I think he's got great hands, he's a really good passer. We have not been able to, in practice and in training camp, as much as I would like to have those two guys play together because we need them to play against each other. When we can do it, we do it, but I do think because of New Orleans' feel and his passing and even Stevens' IQ and passing and unselfishness, I think there can be some ways to maybe play those guys together some. It wasn't a big sample size. We can look at some things. In fairness to those guys, we have not spent a lot of time offensively in trying to help those two guys function together. I kind of just threw them out there and said, listen, this is how we're playing, this is what we're going to do, out of what we're doing, play off each other. So they try to do it, they got jammed up a little bit, but I think there's things that we can do to work with those two guys to function together and maybe, play more together going forward, just based on the fact that we've done it very, very much at the start of this training camp.
Billy, you kind of stacked one team, that white team, the blue team. What do you think of Russell being over there, at least the first half of the blue team, just kind of talking to those guys? He led a couple of huddles, that sort of thing.
Well, I think it's important that, Russell's leading those guys and trying to help those guys because we all need each other to improve. If the white team is in a situation where they're not being pushed and challenged, it's not good for them. And if the blue team's not being pushed and challenged, it's not good for them. So you want to be able to have an environment in a place where guys are competing at a really, really significantly high level because that's the greatest opportunity to get better.
What
Anybody
about
else?
Raymond Felton's role
Coach.
on this team? We saw him today on the floor with Dennis. At times it looked like they alternated between who was running the offense. How many minutes do you see him getting? How often do you see him getting out on the floor?
Who's that?
Raymond Felton.
Yeah, I think Raymond's going to be an important component to our team. Obviously Russell's out at this point in time. Hopefully he's back soon, but Raymond's going to need to come in and step in and play. And Raymond's got a great voice. He's a great leader. He understands what goes into winning. I think Raymond's a great competitor and a great winner. So his role is going to be very, very valuable to our team. And whatever it is, Russell coming back, Russell being out, Dennis being here, we're going to need Raymond. He's important to us.